Hi, my name is Mackenzie, and I did my project on work with entertainment. Work with entertainment is based primarily on my personal actions of how I work, frequently with either video or music. So this is an in-depth research methods that reviews my actions. So before I begin, just a little bit of an overview of how I decided to conclude this project. I created a poster that reviews my research, my findings, and my possible solutions, all of which I will be going over in this presentation. As a student, I frequently find myself on my computer, constantly doing work for class or for pleasure. And a lot of the times, sometimes I do work with some form of entertainment. As you can see in the picture below, you can see my computer and my iPad adjacent to it. The reason why I have them next to each other is because I frequently enjoy watching videos while I work. This is a habit that I have formed over the past few years that people have come to understand. But I know that this way of working is not the most sustainable in terms of the future when I enter a full working force. So my project primarily talks about how to change that behavior. Needed to figure out a way of how I was going to record my actions. And the easiest way for me to do this is to use an application that is used for logging activities such as schoolwork and other types of activities that I labeled as entertainment, such as Netflix, which I also categorized as videos and music. So the reason why it was really important to have an application that would do this for me is because I just wanted to seamlessly press a button whenever I started working or whenever I started watching Netflix, so it would just record it. And what was great about this app is that it recorded each action next to each other so I could see where they were overlapping, which was what I was primarily concentrating on. So once I figured out all of this, I was able to record approximately 2 weeks worth of data that went into my final project. So just through these images below, you can see the depth of my schoolwork and how I switch between using an entertainment with my schoolwork, not using anything at all, or changing the type of entertainment, either between music or Netflix, and I'll go over a little bit later why I switch. As I addressed earlier, the reason why this project was important for me was that I knew that what I was doing was not going to help me in the future. For example, when I was working over the summer, I found myself having trouble with a few projects here and there, and all I really wanted to do was just have some sort of voice coming in the background that I could listen to. Similar to how I watch my videos, but not necessarily watching something. So when I figured that out this summer, I realized that what I'm doing is not a sustainable practice at all, and especially is inappropriate for a serious workforce, which I will be going into in approximately a year. So I'm going to have to change. And it's important for me to change for my own personal reasons and for other reasons of sustainability, such as energy. But what's really great about using these devices that stream things from online is they actually use a lot less energy than we think. But that being said, videos take much more energy to stream than music does, and music is also more appropriate for the type of work I'll be doing in the future. Another thing that I found actually with my study is that another great way for me to still be able to listen to a conversation that has drama to it is possibly a podcast. So once this project is over, I may try to even use a podcast, but For right now, it was really great to see how I could possibly change and why I need to change. My activity for the past 2 weeks that I was talking about earlier. It's graphed between the categories of Netflix, which is also under videos, schoolwork and Netflix, and schoolwork and music. Since I altered quite frequently, I figured it was important to show them as a whole and them separately. So it goes from Monday when the project began to the following Saturday. And as you can see in my graph, I do have a very erratic way of working. All very productive. I got all of my work done within that period of time. But you can see spikes of when I either do work independently, do work with music, do work with Netflix. Very different across the board, which I found really interesting, but also kind of made me feel good that I wasn't always using Netflix, because that's what I had in my head, and I was kind of worried for myself. But what I found actually in studying myself is that I frequently am pretty responsible about what work I can do with watching a video, and what work I can be doing solely with music, or even a certain type of music, like music that doesn't have any lyrics. I primarily use when I'm reading or I really need to concentrate. So seeing all of this information visualized is just really important for me to see, and to show what my patterns are, because the only way that you can really change a behavior is to understand your patterns. I needed to figure out how I was actually going to make a change, or how anybody in the same situation would make any change. And as explained in the slow interaction of reading that we had, it's really important that this type of change occurs over time, because the only way you're able to sustain a change is by a period of approximately 24 days. That is pretty much the amount of days that it takes to make a consistent schedule for yourself, mentally and physically. So what's really important in designing a solution to this is that the solution encourages you and boosts you over a long period of time, instead of giving you all of these things to handle in one go. Because no one is ever going to, I would never just erase my Netflix and never use it again. I would never do that. That is completely not the point of this entire study. So it's really important to really believe that change needs to happen over time, especially to change behaviors. Some really important things to also talk about are circumstances to what I am using as a form of entertainment. So like the type of show, the genre of music, volume, space, and surrounding people. Those are all things that become different factors in how I may get distracted. So just to keep in mind when design solutions are starting to be constructed. Presented here in the image below is my iPad and where I frequently have it placed while I'm working. So I've pulled up a video when I'm using it, and what I'm imagining is something that is kind of like a speed bump. Speed bumps don't actually make you stop, like stop signs do or traffic lights, but they encourage you to subconsciously stop or slow down. So that's kind of what I'm attempting to get at with my design solution. Something that doesn't impede on your actions, but rather just makes you aware of it. And so you're more likely to make the choice for yourself rather than like a piece of technology making the choice for yourself, which is completely not as effective. So it never prevents you, it just makes you aware. And so over time, the program would essentially decrease the amount of time in which you would be like allowed, quote unquote, allowed to watch something, so that over time you're not spending as much time watching it, and more it's like a break as an enjoyable part of the day and then going back to serious work. So that's my primary idea. or something even like a vibration or a little beep that appears in your audio when you're listening. So just little cues, nothing dramatic, kind of similar to how parental controls are used. You can set like a certain amount of time or a certain time when things need to be shut off. But instead of actually shutting them off, just hinting that it's been quite a long time. The result of this entire project is to change behavior over time, but this is primarily meant to be positive and appropriately tailored to individual lifestyles. Since we all have different schedules and different needs, it's really important that it's not controlled too much by technology, because nowadays technology just takes over our lives and it's completely unnecessary at times. So it should just be advising when things need to change or educating us of our actions so we can still be a part of the world that we live in. So it's really important that it becomes an individual thing and doesn't just like be a system that works for everybody, because nothing ever works for anybody. And again, slow change is the best way for any of this to happen. Thank you for listening, and I hope to receive feedback. Thank you.